Ridiculous. Okay, we're gonna look into it. We do have the computers on campus. My goal is a lot of times when I use Photoshop or like for art, I'm usually using a stylus and a pen. So either a Cintiq tablet or a Wacom tablet. But I wanted to do this in a way that was more accessible to everybody. So we're going to use a mouse today and kind of go over how to make it a little bit more friendly and honestly how to make Photoshop feel a little bit more vector so that we can quickly illustrate some of these things without the pain of having to learn. Math is hard, at least for me. For you guys, it might be easy. So what size of document should we create? Any suggestions? 1920 by 1080? That's like screen resolution, right? What do you want to do with a one-page document? Print it out, right? So we're either going to use an 8.5 by 11 or an 11 by 8.5, right? So if you want a landscape, you can do that. But I would suggest a letter size. And then 300 DPI is good. A 300 DPI, that's dots per inch, basically pixels per inch. It's good for, really 150 is fine for printing. 72 is web resolution, and 300 would be like photo quality print. So we're gonna do the 300 DPI, hit create. And then what I had done is I showed some of you that rough sketch. I wasn't planning on using it for a class, so don't judge me, of that little game design I did. We're gonna use that to start with. So I'm gonna open that up. Hanging out in my documents over here. And you can see it was in the car when I took the picture. You can see even my beautiful knee and my socks. That's how pro I am. But it did the job. I have an image. Phones are amazing. I want to take this and I want to put it in my other document. So what do I do next? We're going to select it. I'm going to use some hotkeys because they're just easier. I did go to select all, but pretty universally Control A. Pretty universally Control A selects everything. Control C copies. We're going to go to our untitled thing and we're going to hit Control V. And you can see it's really huge. So we're going to use another tool to kind of scale it down in a better position right now. We don't have to worry about it being perfect at the moment because I'm going to use some of the components. The perk of using Photoshop or Illustrator is you don't have to keep the same set format. We just want some of the things. We're going to start using layers. You also notice it put it in a brand new layer. So we're already working in layers in Photoshop, which is great. We can kind of stack those. Think of it as putting a clear piece of plastic over your piece of paper that you're then drawing on. You can then move that piece of plastic around or remove it entirely. Makes it a lot easier to paint and illustrate things. So I'm going to go to Edit, Free Transform. That allows me to scale and move this image. And it's obviously working itself well. And we're just going to put it to where the whole thing's in here. Just really quick, this doesn't matter for what we're doing right now, but notice I took the photo at an angle, so the whole image is skewed, right? So we can actually fix that real quick too, yeah. It was a raster transform. So when I scale it down, it's actually losing pixels in resolution. Yeah, so it'll have a little Q in the side, and then you have to eventually rasterize that image. So what that is doing, and without getting in the weeds too much, is it's still keeping that data saved for that image, and it's shrinking it down visually, right? And so that way you can decide, do I want to bake that in or adjust it later? And I never use that tool, but I know it's like placing it. So it's kind of like it still saves its size, so it's still a larger file. Eventually, if you flatten that down to create like a JPEG, it's going to bake it all into its smaller resolution. So just to show you right here, we have some rulers and guides. If I pull a straight line out, showing, you can see that it doesn't really have straight lines. Like when I drew it, I promised those were straight. They might have been. But just for funsies, really quickly, I want to fix the perspective on this because I took it at an angle. And so I'm going to grab that image again. I'm just right in that layer. If I don't select anything right now, it's just going to select everything that's in that layer that has a pixel assigned to it. So I don't really have to select everything right now. And I'm going to go down to transform again and go to perspective. And it looks the same, but if I grab the edges now, it actually moves just those top and puts it kind of back into perspective. So basically, somewhat, I'm removing that angle that I took the photo with. So it kind of straight. Just a little trick there. So the next thing I want to do is I actually just want to start illustrating these. I want to basically do a draw over. And this is really handy for you. A lot of those pencil images, it probably would have taken another hour for those students to refine those, but they could have made them more presentable really quick. So that's what I wanted to go over. When we do our final print and play, these are the techniques you'll use. So I highly recommend you use digital software when making the one page. You don't have to, but it'll help you get into that practice stage. It doesn't have to be perfect, but that's why we're going over it today. So to show you really quick, I'm going to create a new layer. First of all, if I go to view, clear guides, I can get rid of those guides I just made. I'm going to create a new layer. So down here at the bottom, there's these little lines right there. I can go here and say new layer. And it's just going to have no color. It's just going to be clear. Hit OK. Now I have something that I can draw above that image without messing it up. Sometimes what I like to do is actually take this one and lower the opacity. So I can see the new lines I'll make a little bit better. So we'll test that out. I'll make it 50%. So now it's kind of faded. So now I have something I can kind of draw over. Control plus and minus will zoom in, zoom out. And then space bar is the grab. Grabby grab. Called the grabby grab. We'll just sounds. Okay. So let's make this easy on it. We're going to start just drawing some lines. We have some choices actually in here. I use it sometimes. Let's see. Here's the pen tool. So the pen tool will actually make those vector image shapes. So just to show you how that works, it's a different ball game than just using a brush. Nodding their head. So I have to start the line. It starts as a dot, just like that circle we talked about. And this is where it gets complicated. I could either just single click and place another dot, or click and drag and create something that are called Bezier curves. This is where the fun math comes. The wider those are apart, the different the shape is, where it curves closer to your dot versus the starting dot, right? So the shorter they are together, if I would have just clicked, it would have been a straight line. So this is how, we'll try and make a circle, okay? Just like we drew up. To show you how it's done with math. We'll adjust that one. I'm making a terrible circle. Oh, a little bit better. You can see it's kind of a circle. And then what we can do is sit and edit those Bezier curves until it makes a perfect circle, or you can just use a circle shape that comes with it too. But essentially the difference between making something in a vector image is what I just did there, or instead of the pen tool, I will use the brush tool and go like that. Yeah. I'm in the same layer. Oh, I'm in the wrong layer. Thank you. Control Z works great too. But like I said, now I can just use the pen tool, and my opacity is not turned on. Oh, that's why, because it was 50%. But yeah, I can just draw the circle. It may not be as pretty as a vector image, but it sure is fast, and I have to use a lot less brain cells. Great, right? So on that brush itself, if I want to adjust the brush size, the bracket, the right bracket will make it bigger, the left bracket will make it smaller. Right? If you use a stylus or a pen, there's a lot more techniques you can use. Not really necessary for this assignment. I just want to recreate this in something that looks a little bit more accurate to what I want, right? So, so what we could do is just start drawing the side of this board right here. You notice my line isn't super straight, right? So one of the things I wanted to show you to make really straight lines. Does anyone know how to make really straight lines in Photoshop? Yeah. Hold down Shift. Beautiful. So easy. So I'm going to hold down Shift, and then I'm going to draw. It is so nice. It's like, this is why, like, forget Illustrator. Let's just draw this on, and we're on this single layer. So if I want to redraw this whole thing, and the thing is I can even mess up. I have a, oops. Oh, by the way, if you hold shift and tap, you can also draw a straight line from 1 to 1. So I'm just going to make one click. Oops, that. And then hold down shift and then click again. And it'll connect the dots. Yeah, super easy. It's not vector. This is raster. Different kind of dots. I know it's confusing. Yeah. This is basically like, hey, computer, just draw me a straight line. But it is raster, right? So if I sit and zoom in on this, probably have to get pretty far. You can see it does have, because it's a straight line, it just has that one gradient on it. All right. So while we're just showing tricks, I'm going to show you one more. We're going to use it again. Notice on this one, I'm just going to show you because this is symmetrical. There are a couple things I want to show you when using the brush tool in this time, and these are the things to pay attention to. One of them is right here, the smoothing. This is what makes your lines look more vector. Because if I turn the smoothing down, or if you even turn it off, it's going to be 1-to-1 wherever I'm painting. Now if I try to make a straight line, it's not bad. Did I have the smoothing turned off? That's not too bad, but it's kind of curved. Because it is, no, it's still turned on because it's following it. I'm going to turn smoothing off. That one. I'm going to turn smoothing down to 0. Okay. Now if I, I promise, like my mouse got down to the bottom and it kind of went, ugh. So you notice how the line is following behind me? It's actually smoothing out the line. It's making it look more vector in Photoshop. What's that? Yeah. So it's more CPU intensive. Your computer has to think to do that. Luckily, computers are a lot better than they used to be. That used to be a really expensive thing to do. And you draw and you'd probably wait a minute for that line to draw itself. Now computers do it really well. So I say, if you're doing something like this, crank it up. Like use the smoothing because it makes life a lot easier. The other thing you can do is turn on right here for things like this. If it helps you, it's the symmetry tool, right? So we're going to take a vertical line and we're going to put it right here in the middle of this drawing. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our brush. It'll work. Come on, buddy. Okay, back to our brush tool. Hold down shift again. Start drawing again. Right, and let's draw everything we're doing. Oops. Lift it up. So hold down shift first. Even on this part, we'll do the little wavy lines, even though they're going to be symmetrical. This one, maybe you'd want to turn it off, but we'll just leave it on. We have our little wavy lines there. Here's that little thing in between. Doing that. Shift is really weird. Kind of hates you sometimes. Click first and then hold shift, guys. One of these days I'll learn Photoshop. Then I'll really be able to teach. We'll put that line in the middle. We'll just pick where it makes sense. Yeah, come on. Control Z is your friend. Yep. So even right now we can hide it and see what it looks like. Right, we're going to put a few little dots in here to kind of look like our image did. Okay, so let's continue this. What's that? Say slay. I hear that. I hear. The time-consuming process. You can see that the symmetry tool is awesome. Just saves you some time. And we can always adjust these later. What I was debating was actually to draw I could have just drawn one brick and then duplicated it over and over. Honestly, this is faster because I know what I want it to look like. For the individual bricks, I can make my little brick representations too. Okay. So here is the playing board. Actually, now that we've done this, we're going to do something else. I am going to turn off symmetry now. And right now, this is me always trying to work smarter, not harder. This is basically just copied there 3 times, right? So if I redrew it, sound like my 4-year-old. If I redrew it, it would look more unique and different. But we're just trying to do this fast, right? So we're gonna grab our marquee tool. Hover over that, and then what do I do next? Control C, Control V. Boom, it creates a new layer. That's our one object on that layer. I'm gonna grab my mover tool, and I'm gonna hold Shift again. When you draw a straight line, you can also move things in perfect lines too. So I'm gonna hold down Shift and drag the wrong one up, okay? Actually, we're gonna grab our correct layer here. Hold down Shift and grab, what the heck, dude? Maybe I copied the wrong thing. No, try it again. There it is. Okay, whatever. We'll do that. And we'll just hit Control V again. We'll grab another one. It's kind of snapping into place for me. So it's content aware is what it's called. So wherever I click, it's grabbing the pixel. And so since I keep grabbing outside of a visible area, it does that. So here I grabbed the right one. That was my. And you can turn that off if you want to stay. You know, go where I want you to. And I can also use the arrow keys to nudge it back into place if it's not close enough. Let's do one more. Put it right there. Yeah, that'll work. So I've created my little play space now, right? So let's take a look at it. So not too bad. It's looking pretty slick now. This is something that I can now put as my centerpiece, right? So we showed that template before. I want this to be the centerpiece. And maybe I want to keep it like this. What else would make this look better now, though? The person? What's that? Description, callouts. Yeah. For this one, actually, I'm going to add a little bit of color to it. Right? So there's a few ways we could do this. I'm going to do this the easy way. So notice I have all 3 of these layers for this single object. I want to put them all on one layer so I can just move those all. Since they're kind of just one asset. So Control E will collapse the next layer. So now that I have this, just to make my life easier so I don't mess it up again, I'm going to rename this layer as what's it be called? Huh? We'll call this the level. The stage. Let's call it the stage. Yeah, this would be. So essentially, each of those pieces I duplicated got put on a new layer. So I was merging them all together. Yeah, collapsing, merging. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, so this is level. So I could put the colors underneath it. That would work just fine, right? Or if I want to just be really easy, I could just grab that. I want this to be gray. This is not as easy to edit, but for the sake of this, I'm okay with it. And then we're going to go edit, fill. You could also use the paint bucket tool. We're going to do the foreground color, keep it gray. And just really easy, we just made the inside of it gray, right? This one we want to make red. I'm worried that is going to bleed out. It didn't because I had that little white gap. If it did, I would have to fill in that. This one I want to be red. I'm just going to pick a red out of the swatch over here. My life easy. Edit, foreground color. Oh, sorry, edit, fill, foreground color. Boom. Now we have lava, right? So easy peasy. Already it looks, to me, it looks a lot better than my little pencil sketch. Yeah. So I use the wand to select the space within. Yeah. So the magic wand tool, it'll select either that color or the blanks. Edit, fill, and then you can choose either the foreground color that I chose here, or you can choose black or white or gray. or the background color. Basically, I can select any of those colors and super easy. And I could put this behind it. It would be a lot more editable. But we trade fast for speed for better, right? This is like tech dead sloppy code. This isn't an image that I'm going to reuse later. It's just one that I'm doing really fast. And this is a lot faster than using the paintbrush, filling it in. Although I could do that too, right? But for the sake of this, I'm not going to. Oh, stuff. Okay, so one of the things, oh crap, how do I want to do this? These look better with like some color on them. What color should the bricks be in a brick game? Orange, okay. So we'll, oh shoot. We'll pick every third one, be our orange. I'm holding down shift, and I can select multiple colors, and then I will offset them up here just by one. Select the next one. Yep. I think shift control will deselect. Okay, so now we want to do an orange. Orange. They don't have, do they have an orange? That's kind of orange. This is orange. My wife tells me I'm. Maybe I am. Okay, what other color do you? Brown? Let's do green. Let's do. All right, and for the last one, this one, and then I'm gonna leave it the wrong color just to bother. It's a, you know what? One thing I've learned is leaving mistakes is not a bad. This comes from like me doing Twitch and YouTube on gaming stuff. Purposely putting in a mistake gives people something to. Okay, what did I miss here? What color was on the other side of the yellow? Green? These are the ones that. Green, and that should have been orange. Let's do them wrong. I'm gonna Bob Ross this. So from a design standpoint, though, so when I originally started making the game and I didn't have the color on them, what I noticed was when I started making, I put the same color down here, and that didn't work. So in my Brick Breaker game, you're that little character trying to keep the ball going. In a normal Brick Breaker game, you don't want it to hit the bottom. Here you kind of don't too, but my goal is to clear out all the top bricks. Try not to let these ones get destroyed. So they should be a different color. So we'll make those like maybe grays. This is more than I wanted to cover in this class, but doing it right. We need some color. We'll just do these like sticking through. Oh, I did these wrong, didn't I? So hold. It was not supposed to take this long. Okay, so we'll pick. Okay, we'll leave it like this. That's kind of cool. Okay. So now we have this, and now we can move it around. I do want to put my character on it though too, but I want the ability to move him around and have that be on a different layer in case I want to adjust it or scale him or do that. So we're going to open up our tracing layer again. And what would be the easiest way to draw this little guy? Yeah, little guy. Yeah, this one? I totally could. That might be cool. Okay, so let's draw him over here then. Let's do one of these ones. So I like the way you think. Look, it'll look more like I spent more time. Okay, so let's go back to our brush tool. So B is actually a brush tool, by the way. Hotkeys are your friends. They're the best. V is the pen tool. Don't. Okay, so let's grab the symmetry again. And we'll put it on this side of our little guy. Really, using a circle tool would be the easiest way to get a perfect circle. But since I'm using the symmetry tool, we're just gonna go for. So grab our brush again. We'll make the line just a little. No, we'll keep the line the same size, only because I'm gonna scale him down, and it's gonna make it smaller. So we'll just quickly draw the. Oops, drew on the. Did I draw on the wrong side? Oh. Thank you, everybody. I have you all. Okay, let's. I have smoothing turned off. Yes. Turn it back up to like 70. Because this is drawing with a mouse 101. Okay. Get that semi-good, good enough. Let's draw an eyeball. Good enough. There we go. And he smiles. We'll even put his ear on. And he doesn't have a neck. We'll leave it off. Yeah, we're going to stick true to it. The little fold of his shirt up there. Oh yeah, here's his pants. And we'll just draw it all right in. We'll just make it look sketchy. Okay, there's his pants and his leg. See that smoothing tool is awesome. Foot. Arms. they're like surgically connected. Yes. And then just to make it easy, let's do the paddle. Start drawing, hold it down. I forget his tie. Good enough. Here's his tie. You're right. He's a businessman. Okay. Okay. So now we have this, and so let's duplicate this. Duplicate the layer. Actually, we could do Control A, Control Copy, or you can even just duplicate a layer, and it will copy that layer as well. You do it either way. That way I keep the other one there, and now I can just shrink this one into place. So Edit, Retransform. There, it looks more official, right? We'll delete that background. You see right here, it doesn't take too long, right? But doesn't that look better than my drawing sketch? It's explains it really well. Just him levitating though is unacceptable, so we'll use the arrow keys, put his feet down on the ground. Just to make life easy, I'm just gonna draw the ball in here. Actually, use a circle. There should be a shapes. This one. Right, you're right. Thank you. We'll try this. We'll use the circle tool. This always messes up for me. See what it drew? See that, what I'm talking about? Let's give it a stroke. Make the inside invisible. The stroke. No, I didn't say that. Sounds terrible. But I hate it. And it was too difficult for me to figure out. It started using math, and as soon as it starts using math, I'm out. I check out, guys. So we're gonna do this the no-brain way. So we'll just draw our. Should have done this on a new layer, but I didn't. And I'm okay with that. Here are the lines. And then we can even draw the, this is where it smashes in. You can even give that a color or a POW. All right. So that'll do. So this is the start of it, right? So now that I've done this, what I might actually do, this would make my life, look, I was using symmetry still. Let's turn off symmetry. What I might actually do is I'm gonna merge some of this. Is at this point I might just make a new doc, right? And keep using this one as my palette of characters and everything else, because now I can just go to File, New, create a new version. Not that though, from the clip. Yeah. I just use the template. There's a letter template. Don't use the, every time you Control C, it saves that resolution. But I just use the letter, 8 by 11, 300 DPI. Yeah. Okay, so we have this. Now I can just grab this. And this will be my center image. Control C. They're all merged down. Grab my new file, and I'll say, okay, this is my new one. So if I stretch this out, it is going to lose resolution. So really, I'm going to make it small. It's not going to be as nice an image. As long as it's within 25 to honestly 50%, it's not noticeable. So it doesn't really matter, especially for a printout. So now I can just scale this to the size I want it to be. And you can even see here, it's kind of fuzzy. When I double click, it'll kind of fix itself. But to whatever size I want that center image of my whole thing to be, I just double click that. Now I can go into like my text tool. I'm going to click up here and say platform breaker game. Here's the beautiful part. Even if this is in a vector image, the type is a vector. But what I do all the time, take the thought out of it. I just use the transform tool on that as well. It works. Oh, free transform. And I just put it where I want. So here's the title. Bada bing, bada boom. Not fancy. And just to make things simple. How'd you do that? Oh, my bad. Okay. We'll place it, select it, and change it to. So there's the platform breaker game. So that's the start, right? So now we do need to do the call outs and everything else, all the extra additional things. We're almost out of time. But hopefully this gives you a good idea. Like pretty much everything that I've done here, you would then do in a smaller scale on it. I would make my call outs, put in some more text, adjust it, and the lines, and kind of describe how the game works there. Yeah. Anything that really makes sense to it, like you could show some of the inventory system on this. So in this one, like when I said my engineer wanted the design, he wants everything you can do in the game, right? And so I was like, no, I'm going to give you the building blocks that we need to make the game right now. So it's anything that's crucial for it. Like for me, I'm like, I need a hazard. What kills the player? I need the level. What does the level itself look like that you would stand in? What do the platforms look like? What do the major building blocks of that game look like? So when we talk about the verb, it's the thing the player does, which is fine. It's going to depend on each one of your games what you want to add. Definitely look at those examples and see what makes sense for that for your game. I don't want them all to look different and use the same formula. So if the inventory system feels like I'm not really getting anything out of this, or if it is an inventory system that shows like a few of those inventory items to give us the idea of it, then that's great. Here's the inventory. Have a few of those items, and it's like, great, this game has an inventory, and that's cool too, right? All right, hopefully you found that helpful. I will have this uploaded to Canvas hopefully later tonight or tomorrow. So if you want to look back on it, or if you found it helpful at all, feel free to ask any questions. On Tuesday, just have your PDF or your JPEG of your one page, hopefully a PDF, put up on Canvas, and we will do, we're going to do kind of a round robin. Everyone's going to show off and talk about them and get some feedback from the class on your one pages. All right, everybody, have a beautiful day.